For RCR Wireless News, I'm Sean Kinney, and welcome to Mobile Midday. We'd like to thank our sponsor, telecomcareers.com, the industry's largest resume database and jobs board. We'd like to introduce this morning our editor-in-chief, Dan Meyer, and we've got on the line with Dan Dr. Gregory Raleigh. Dr. Raleigh is a bit of an expert in wireless engineering in the NFV space. They're going to discuss what exactly an open Cuba means for American telecom players.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for joining us today, Greg. We definitely appreciate it. Obviously, big news this week that came out with the announcement from President Obama about lifting sanctions against Cuba, and some specific comments there regarding the telecom space. Obviously, an interesting move for the industry. I guess, from your point of view, what impact is this going to have, perhaps on the industry, but also maybe more importantly on the people of Cuba?
Well, Dan, thank you for having me this morning. Obviously, there's a tremendous amount of controversy around the decision, but irrespective of the controversy, we at Itzon are very hopeful that this is a very meaningful opportunity for the Cuban people to really step up and enter the 21st century internet era and get more free communications and more access to education so we can improve their lives, increase their freedoms, and increase the prosperity for their families. So we're hopeful that the Cuban government does things the right way and really opens up the information economy in Cuba.
Got it. Do you think, I guess, for the equipment vendors, is this a bigger deal for the equipment vendors or for telecom operators? Who do you see maybe benefiting or being able to take advantage of this new opportunity there in Cuba?
Well, that's really at the crux of it, right, Dan? So I think from Itzon's perspective, we think the biggest question is going to be, how does the Cuban government work with the mobile operator? I'll speak specifically to the mobile space since that's our segment. So how does the Cuban government work with the mobile operators? If they set it up so that the mobile operators can come in and provide free access to information in the mobile internet and really bring the Cuban economy into the modern era when it comes to information exchange, then we think that's going to be very interesting. And you'll see a vigorous competition amongst the world's best mobile operators for the opportunity there in Cuba. And we think that for the vendors, if in that case, it's going to be very similar to the way the vendors work in the rest of the world, with one clear exception. In Cuba, the information economy is a little behind because there hasn't been free access and there hasn't been the kind of investment we've seen in the rest of the world. So there's an opportunity to sort of leapfrog the mobile internet to the consumer in a very quick way because there's no legacy to deal with. We think that means more consumer choice, more access, and more affordability for their wallet. Again, if the Cuban government does things in the right way.
Sure. Yeah. It seems like, obviously, again, with not much legacy equipment there, they can pretty much jump right to 4G for the most part and have that as their base of operations there. What do you expect we expect to find when we go into that country? What do you think the equipment looks like? We're looking at 1950s AT&T legacy equipment sitting on the ground there. What do you think is there for people right now?
Well, I don't know if any of us know in great detail what's there. It's been closed up till now. But what we can say is, just like other parts of the world where there has not been a free and open information economy, the investments are outdated. So you're absolutely right. We can see a leapfrog, again, depending on how the Cuban government interacts with the mobile operators. If they create an environment where they can bring in the best mobile operators that have the capital to spend, we can see a leapfrog on both the connectivity as well as the service offerings. We think that, for example, 4G is very, very important. We can bring them up to speed very quickly, but also, how does the consumer purchase their service? We see a global trend around the world here at Itzon, mobile operators giving consumers more choice, more on-device, real-time access to purchase their services, and especially in these emerging economies, purchase services in the way they can afford this week or this month, and that allows them access to the information economy that their wallet can afford to spend. So we're hopeful that that's the kind of activity we're going to see. Again, we think it's very dependent on the relationships and how open the Cuban government is to really allowing the operators to give the right services to the consumer.
And I guess that seems to be the big question right now, is exactly how much of access will they have, and that seems to be to be determined at this point, because again, there's not much history here. How the interaction is going to be, so that'll be the biggest challenge, it seems like.
We agree.
Yeah, Very good. Well, hey, Greg, definitely appreciate the insight today. Thanks so much. Obviously, it's a topic that's going to just continue to grow moving forward, but we definitely appreciate the insight today. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you for having me, Dan. It's a pleasure.
Thanks. Sean, back to you.
Now we're going to change it up a little bit and bring in Jarad Matula. Jarad. Sean, thanks for joining us. I appreciate you helping us kind of keep it lively here. I took a look at the tower wrap this week, sort of a sad story, if you could give us an update.
Yeah, tragedy hit in Tennessee yesterday. There was a team working on a tower, and one man who has now been identified as Alan Lee Cotton from South Carolina fell 100 feet to his death. There was two other people with him, one person on the ground and another person on the tower slightly below him, but he was on the other side of the tower, so he didn't really see it happen, so there's not really any sort of eyewitnesses necessarily to what happened.
Sure.
So yeah, he was pronounced dead on the scene, and
I think you have some stats for us. You know, these guys are sort of the heart and soul of the wireless infrastructure sector, but
Absolutely.
this isn't that uncommon of an occurrence. You have the numbers for this year and last year, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. This is the 12th tower climber death this year, which just puts it one shy of the total from last year, which was 13. But the crazy thing about that is that that number of 13 is double the two previous years combined.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it really makes you think about, you know, the rush, you know, 4G and everything. You know, everyone wants better, faster and everything. And, you know, these are hardworking guys out there, and they're putting their lives on the line to make it happen for all of us. So, you know, of course, our thoughts and our prayers go out to the, you know, the friends and family of this guy. For
sure, and that's a tight-knit community too, those tower climbers, so I know there's a lot of upset people there. You had another story in the tower wrap about a plane tower incident?
Yeah, fortunately this one is a lot less serious. There is a four-person plane that was flying in Springdale, Missouri, and it clipped the tower and had to crash land into a vacant lot. Everyone was impressed that they were able to crash into a vacant lot, and fortunately no one was seriously injured. Two people walked away completely unscathed. The other two, you know, some minor bumps and bruises, and the pilot himself broke a couple of bones. Yeah. But other than that, everyone's okay. And just to show you how tough they build these towers, no uninterrupted service.
Wow, that's amazing. Well,
no structural damage either.
Glad everyone's okay in that one. At least you know, one story there. And Jarad has also agreed to close the show for us. So without further ado.
All right, that'll do it for your mobile midday news. For more of these stories and many others, be sure to check out the RCR Wireless News website as well as our YouTube channel. Thank you to our editor-in-chief, Dan the Man Meyer, and of course a big thank you to our sponsor, telecomcareers.com. We'll see you back here next week for Global Joe.